How do we keep the planet moving towards a greener future? It doesn't happen without driven entrepreneurs and inspired social impact leaders like you. This podcast will give the tools and insight you need to join the sustainability movement and save the world. This is Thinking Green with Mohammed Abdallah.
Welcome back, Thinking Green Nation. This is your host, Mohammed Abdallah. Today I'm coming to you live from Andrew Claudio's off-grid motorhome. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, dude.
Dude, I would be doing pretty good too if I were you and I was living in this awesome off-grid motorhome. Andrew and I met back 5-6 years ago,
right.
And you at the time were working for Sonnen.
Yep.
You've done a lot of amazing things since, which we'll get into here in a minute.
Cool.
I think it's important to tell you guys today's episode is brought to you by OGI, Off-Grid Innovations. They're actually the ones that designed and built this. This is like a Lamborghini for off-grid living, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
dude, absolutely.
So Andrew, tell us a little bit about your story, where you grew up, your family, your education, your upbringing, what led you to this industry and to this lifestyle.
I'm 48, so I hope we're here for a long time, man.
Yeah.
But I guess my story starts in Guatemala. That's where I was born, right, 1973. Just a kid. My dad's American. My mom's from Guatemala, right? And I did not have an average life. Down there was a civil war going. Grew up, similar to what's going on in the Ukraine, right? A lot of uncertainty. Seeing people with machine guns was kind of the norm. So kind of grew up in a kind of a interesting place and time. A
civil war going on at the time? Or
the Guatemalan Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was 7 years old. There had been a big earthquake down there, and we, between the earthquake and the Civil War, my dad said, we got to get out of here, And we lost family down there because of the the Civil War, and we moved, and they're moving to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
It was the first time I was ever on an airplane.
How old were you?
7.
Okay.
I still remember just getting on that airplane. I still remember the flight. I don't remember landing in Puerto Rico, but I remember Puerto Rico well, and I remember being in. The house, family visited. Puerto Rico was amazing for me. We were there for 2 years, and a couple Mormon missionaries, crazy, knocked on my dad's door. He was drinking a Cuba Libre, which is rum and Coke with a little shot of lime. I think I'd taken a plug, you know what I mean? But the missionaries started talking to my dad, and soon. Well, not soon, but we were baptized Mormon. Well, my father was. A couple weeks later, I was baptized. And then I ran into the school there. It was called Sagrados Corazones. I've been to that school since, all my work in Puerto Rico. But, I told them, I'm Mormon. And they kicked me out of the school because it was a Catholic school, right?
Okay. Oh, God. Not the way you want to start your, entrance into Puerto Rico.
No.
Any means.
So we had been chased out of Guatemala.
Right.
Getting into Puerto Rico, get settled, and now we're like, we're getting chased out. So we end up in Utah. I was 9.
Welcoming place.
Yeah.
For the most part?
For the most part. I remember back in the mid 80s, right? I don't even think you were born back then, but
wasn't.
No, in the mid 80s, Utah was tough. I was brown, and Utah was really white. But my dad changed my name from Emilio Andres. Dude, that's a great name, huh?
That is. I would change it back probably.
Dude, I want to change it back so bad. Could you imagine that me as Emilio Andres right now? Well, so then it changed my name. So I had this really bad accent, and kids would ask me, "What's your name?" I'd say Andrew. And they'd say, "What's your last name?" I didn't know what a last name was, so I said Andrew. So it was tough, but eventually I ended up, in my high school years. I think I ended up at the right place. I ended up at a high school that was okay with diversity. It was a Skyline High School. I met a lot of lifelong friends.
Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And they supported my uniqueness. I was on the swim team.
Nice.
Later, that would help me on in my military career. So, but yeah, it was a good time. I went on a Mormon mission to Uruguay. I learned to serve people there, and really
year and a half-ish.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years, and
so this is an interesting fact, but I have to drop it. 'Cause
sure,
you
bring
said
it.
Uruguay. I hear in Uruguay there are more cows than there are people.
Absolutely.
And that the main courses for food are like bread and meat.
Yes.
Constant meat.
Constant
beef. Like,
yes.
Hey, if you need any beef, we got it on lock.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, the actually funny thing about that is I would love working in the rural areas, right? Rural areas of every country. I love it. You know, metro's cool to live in.
Air quality.
Well,
concerns?
no, people quality.
Okay.
You know, growing up in a tight city, you know, that had a lot of civil unrest, I always wanted to not be in you know, those kind of densely populated areas.
So the people there were just super incredible, welcoming, and very peaceful.
Super.
I assume super generous.
No, it was the first place I felt that everybody was equal.
Okay.
It was really
Very
weird.
equitable.
And then prior to that, I'd been in the Marine Corps. I'd served in the Marine Corps Reserves.
Okay.
So from high school, I went to the Marine Corps. I was an LAV crewman, 0313. Did that, and then joined, you know, after a couple years in the reserves, went on my mission.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I did that. From my mission, well, the cool thing about the folks there, I was saying, they have this meal there called choripan, which is chorizo. It's a chorizo, a piece of bread.
Yeah.
Like that was what this. I met a 85-year-old guy smoking just smoking hand rolled cigarettes and eating, and I'm like, dude, how do you do it? Smoke, drink. He's like choripan.
Choripan.
So, dude, I mean, he was eating keto back then, you know. So yeah.
So I'm tracking you. Graduate from Skyline High School.
I did.
And then you go to the Marine Corps. So you're a former Marine.
Correct.
And then at some point you go out on a missionary trip to Uruguay. Then you come back after 2 years. Then what's next?
I went fishing.
Yeah, not surprised.
Ended up going up to Alaska and was a commercial fisherman for about a year. And then, you know, have you seen like Deadliest Catch and that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Did that, but with salmon primarily. Did the cod runs on pods as well. And after doing that, came back to Utah with a lot of money and a sense of that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, you know, or more importantly, I wanted to do what my dad did. But Dad felt it was important that I get my college education, and he said, do something fun. So I went to, you know, Utah State and finished off my flight technology degree at Salt Lake Community College. So I was a pilot.
Fisherman, pilot, Marine.
Dude.
What's next?
Dude, I'm telling you.
You're
it's
keeping me on your toes right now.
One thing after another, man. And the crazy thing is it's true. You know, I often think back and I go, wow, I have done a lot. But it's just me. I've been looking for where I belong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
where you're happy and what makes you most happy. And,
that's right.
Yeah. Gives you most joy and
well,
freedom.
I learned something in the military, right? And something in Guatemala. Life is cheap. It's short. You know, we're not here for a long time. And you just got to get out and enjoy it. And I think my dad really pushed me to do that. And he told me to explain. Hey, Moira. Come here, baby. This cat, man. So Pops really just taught me to do it. You know, he was a vet himself, Korean vet. So he, you know, he'd seen the stuff and knew that I needed to heal from everything that I'd seen. I got into paper sales like my father did shortly after that. Flying wasn't for me. It was too structured. But I got into sales, which is what my father did. He worked the channel. You know, he worked at a paper manufacturer. He was a mill rep, kind of like what I do, right? Yep. And or I do what he did. And then he went from that. He was a vice president at IP, International Paper. He managed huge distributors like PC. He was a PC manager, you know, like a CD Green Tech, except for paper.
Okay.
So I understood the channel. Growing up, I had my desk next to his, and I would listen to him talk to his customers.
Very entrepreneurial, very sales-oriented, business development-oriented.
He always says, if you want to get the sale, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to learn how people want to communicate. But I like to work through text and social media, right? Not through email and some of the other mediums of communication that are out there. And if you understand how you communicate and your customer communicates, right, that's everything. And Pop's taught me that. He still works full time
Yeah.
as a distributor rep, selling paper. He's 91 years old. The guy
Incredible. Wow.
managing millions of dollars a quarter. He sells more than a lot of renewable guys.
That's incredible.
At
He's
91, dude.
91 years old. This Pop's still hustling.
Hustling, dude.
Yeah.
I get on the phone
I don't
with
know
him.
where he gets that motivation.
Dude,
Now
dude.
I know where you get it from.
Dude, right.
Yeah.
I actually very competitive with him. I call him up whenever I close a deal, and I tell him, hey, I've got this GTM, and I've got that. And he's like, well, how much? You know,
Yeah. Well, I closed a bigger deal earlier. No.
dude, he crushes. You know, he's a king in his world, and you know, that's kind of what I've always wanted to do. Just work the channel, but you know, life leads you to make choices. And somewhere in my paper career, I, you know, kind of met a gal, and we had a baby. So I have a son. His name's Emmett. I needed insurance, and the safest place for insurance and all that was working in finances. So I actually was a banker. I worked at the for First Interstate. Later was acquired by Wells Fargo in operations at nights. And from there, I went and I just didn't like it, you know. And I went and became a teller. I got robbed twice.
Oof. In a bank?
At the bank by the
Yikes.
same person the same week.
Wow.
Dude, once through the drive-through.
Yeah.
Once through the drive-through. And I told the guy, hey, you're going to have to come in here to do the transaction, you know, because I just, you know, whatever. And he passed me a note. I got in trouble because I didn't do what the note said. Sure enough, on Saturday, the same guy comes back around, throws me the note and says, I'm looking for Andy. And I'm like, no!
That's
and
you.
That was me.
Yeah.
And so I got robbed twice by the
Yikes.
same guy, but he didn't get anything the first time. On the way out, the bank that second time, though, the die pack went off when we heard it pop. So cops caught him. But, you know, I learned that maybe I didn't want to do that. There I got into retail lending. And I ended up managing districts for HR Block, managed branches for U.S. Bank. So I really got into finances, into you know, banking. And I was in Vegas for 13 years doing that. Just, you know,
13 years in the
13
finance
years.
industry. So these are all, by the way, new facts for me.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know any of this about your background. I'm like, you're the vet at energy storage.
Yeah,
Right, to
yeah.
me. So you work on, you know, these, you know, all these different industries.
Yeah.
Paper,
Right.
financial services, right?
Financial services, right.
And then being a pilot.
Yeah,
Did you
flew.
ever work as a pilot, or did you
Did
just
a little
go
bit,
through?
but I didn't
Yeah.
like it. So
And
a
then-
buddy get killed really quickly, and it just wasn't for me.
No, man, that's. And then from there, you are going into storage, or there's some more, you know.
Well,
are there some more trades we need to know about?
No, that's
Yeah.
that. Well, you know, just from finance, I had a friend who came up to me and said, "Hey, dude, I applied for a job at Solar City." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "They were wearing sweatsuits and chains, and they were having just a good time selling solar." So I go, "Solar?" So I called my dad, and I go, "Hey, Dad, these guys are selling solar." And he said, "Yeah, if I could sell anything right now, I would sell
That's what it would
solar."
be. Yeah.
And I go, "Why?" And he said, "It's the future." And then my dad talked to me about, you know, the living that he had done in his life, you know, and how he had seen the destruction of forests, and how he had to work with, you know, reforestation programs in Central and South America. And he really started to talk to me about his industry. He said, "You know what? I'd like to, you know, one day improve on it. If I could, I would sell solar." And his, I guess, you know, his testimony to me, and I was like, okay.
What year was this?
13.
Okay.
And then boom, next you know, I'm in solar, selling residential solar
At Solar City.
at Solar City. Did the megawatt club or whatever there. I did that, landed 3 of those, crushed it. Met a lot of good friends, but felt that selling residential solar to homeowners, there was still a missing piece. And started researching, you know, the evolution and where we're going, because, you know, interconnection was difficult back then, especially in Las Vegas and in other markets where we were growing. And that's where the batteries came in. And I saw Sonnen, had opened up on a Twitter, of all things. I saw a tweet from Sonnen. They were opening up a headquarters in North Hollywood.
So Sonen's like at this time is a super revolutionary energy storage system, right? Coming out of Germany, the guys that really, innovated and rolled out an energy storage product that was AC coupled, so on and so forth.
Before Tesla.
They did, yeah. And so tell us about that time at Sonnen, because I know that was kind of first Solar City. I want to go back to Solar City.
Okay.
So Solar City, I feel like has given most of like the solar industry its initial knowledge base.
Oh, absolutely.
So most of the guys still around here that are like the best installers, for example, are the ones that Solar City sent out for a month to get trained on their racking system and their installation process and so on. Like until this day, those guys are the best trained.
Absolutely.
I feel like the sales guys, same way. They got this incredible training, right? And a lot of that's changed since, right?
It has.
But tell me about the training you got over there and, how that sets you up in terms of a launch pad. And then, we can dive into Sonnen after that.
I think Solar City, when I got there, was doing it right. Honestly, the energy and the vibe was awesome. We were growing at the time, so the Las Vegas Center became kind of like the next big thing. When I got there was like 32 of us on the sales end, and the training was 2-3 weeks of training, and then they would monitor calls, really talk to customers, but they took people that weren't knowledgeable at all in solar or this industry and taught us how to properly size systems back then. They had their own software to do it, but the training that they provided was pretty awesome. And back then we didn't know a lot, and it was we were opening new states, and it was fun because we had a lot of information coming, and it was flexible. I really loved my first year at Solar City. The second year things got not so good. I think that's when
what caused the shift?
Well,
I mean, whatever you can share. Obviously, I mean, we don't.
Dude, I'm happy to share because I mean, it's seriously, it's my opinion, right? But it was my opinion from working there. I think that as we started to get bigger, I think the dilution of the management the management team happened really quickly. They started hiring non-solar people. There was a company at the time that came in from the sales end. They were based out of California. Kind of forgot what they were called, but anyways, they came in and started to take over sales, and they brought with them that mortgage background. You know what I mean? That high-pressured sales, and it was about Salesforce and increasing the lead flow. And the minute you turned the conversation from energy and how we can help the consumer and do that to a number, to a lead. When we lost our ability to connect with the customers, the Solar City culture in sales was gone. Paramount Solar, that's who it was. The merger with Solar City and Paramount Solar, and the Paramount Solar culture ruined it.
So you're at this critical juncture. Maybe this is not the best place for me. And you hear about Sonnen.
Yeah, I was frustrated.
Yeah,
I was watching customers. After a moment, you're doing all these sales, and you realize it's not going good for the customers. So I ended up joining a retention team because there I felt that I could reach customers, homeowners, and help them re-educate them on solar, new position questions. Because what I was seeing was they had so many reps coming in, and they were slamming customers. Cancellation highs were really high. Just things weren't going good. So I felt, Solar City did something smart. They started a team that said, we need to maybe help some of these cancellations. I jumped on there. That was where I was led by one manager. I forget his name. He's my Facebook friend. I'll tag you. But he was by far my favorite manager at Solar City. He was a little older, experienced, but he understood it was about the customer, and that the experience that we were giving wasn't good. And I just happened to be just there one day, and I was frustrated, and I was on Twitter, and I saw this Sonnen, and everybody was happy and looked like it was new. Started reading about energy storage. Tesla at the time was working on a battery. Worked with a couple of the guys over there on that, but nothing that was exciting, because the culture was ruined. So I joined Sonnen with a friend from Solar City. His name's Laird.
Laird.
Yeah.
I've never met him.
Dude, he's a good man.
Yeah.
He's at Enphase now.
Okay.
Probably the best rep at Enphase, and very underutilized, if you ask me, but, that's just me.
Save that for another day.
Yeah. From there, dude, Sonnen was amazing, though. We were talking virtual power plants, working with utilities, things I'd never done before. Remember, at Solar City, I thought that was it. And once I was exposed to the channel, I saw what was available. I met some amazing people at that office, innovators from finance, from installers. I learned so much at Sonnen. We opened factories here in the United States, in Australia. I stopped.
That's where you met your friend Rich. He was here earlier.
Dude!
And was asking about you.
Salinas.
Yeah.
He was one of the first. He was the first installer to install a Sonnen in Texas. Believed in the product. And later on, I met him at a show, and I said, "Dude, you need to come work here at Sonnen," because he understood customers. This is all about the consumer experience through our channel, right? We're bringing new technology. You can't talk watts and kilowatts and blah blah with homeowners. You need to show them that you care, right? What their needs are. He understood that, and when you're talking about a energy storage product, you need to be able to break that down in a simple manner. He knew that process, so I brought him on. And I think he's been an asset, or was an asset at Sonnen. Again, Sonnen's a different story, but what we did at Sonnen the first few years was amazing. And then Shell bought us, right?
Yeah.
The Shell acquisition changed things for us at Sonnen. For me, it created a little bit of uncertainty, and I realized quickly on that that it probably was going to start to change. The CEO at the time, they decided to basically exit solar and focus on home automation. And it just broke my heart, because solar's great. I love talking to customers, dude. And so at Sonnen, I realized, what, if I want to keep on innovating and keep on pushing the envelope, I need to go somewhere where they've got amazing product. And I met Ken Fong, the director of sales for Enphase. Kind, knowledgeable, smart, tough, good. And I sort of begged him for a job, but he brought me on board at Enphase. And funny enough, a couple of my friends from Enphase, from Sonnen, ended up joining Enphase. You know what I mean? Don't know how that happens, but next Enphase has this core group of strong energy storage sales reps, and we knew the channel. We had relationships all across the U.S., North, Central, South America, because I'd been working in all those markets. So it was a win for Enphase, and a win for me. I had an opportunity to help develop marketing for Encharge 10 and worked with amazing people there. I met probably one of my best friends in life, seems Ravi, at Enphase. And the people that I worked with at Enphase, seriously, I still bleed orange. You know what I mean? I love the brand.
I do too. I love my friends over at the Enphase Energy headquarters and across the globe. They're great people, and they really care about the customer. They care about their installer base. They care about making sure that our needs are taken care of. And I've never had a stronger partner support me in the field. And I can say that with confidence. Like, their products may have some issues, just like all manufacturers, but they're willing to back up what they tell us and support us.
If you actually look at what Enphase is doing right now in the market with their recent acquisitions, like 360, they're looking at things that frustrated me as a rep and things that frustrated me as a solar person that frustrate you. Orphan systems, poor installations, lack of support and training. Now, I do believe Enphase can do better. I do. But moving a juggernaut like that to the speed that I would like, you know, or anybody, it takes time.
It does.
But they are doing it right. They're building it so that anybody who wants to install residential solar can come into the market, work through their programs, enroll, go through the training, and actually be successful with it. I can't think of another company out there that you can do that with right now, honestly.
Kevin recruits you, or you kind of beg for a job, or however it went down.
Whatever,
We don't have to get into that. You end up at Enphase. You and a couple other Sonnen reps. You guys are pushing through your channel networks, Enphase, Encharge, the 10s, the 3s, the
all of it. Yeah.
transfer switch, whatever it was called, Empower. Now it's like system controller, and now it's system controller 2.
And something. I know they've started changing the names, which is nice. Yeah.
So and tell me when you decide this is time for me to do my own thing.
Culture again, I think. I'd two things I think led to it. When you're in a large organization like that, you realize that you can only do so much to help move things. At heart, I'm a disruptor, right? Some people call me a troll.
I'll call you a disruptor.
I prefer a disruptor, but I got some good memes.
You do.
But I got to tell you that
I read them all on the Facebook groups.
Dude, there's a couple guys out there that have much better memes, man. I steal them all, man. but somewhere in there, I just wasn't. I didn't feel like I was a fit anymore. And then kind of had kind of a health issue scare, right? And I just said, I need to be doing what I want to be doing. I need to work on my dream, not somebody else's dream. I need to do what I know needs to be done, and I knew that I wasn't contributing what I really wanted to do in the channel, in the industry. There's a lot that can be done, I didn't want to be an order taker anymore. So I decided.
I don't perceive you as an order taker.
No, man.
Yeah, not, whatsoever. And you are one of those guys that likes to push the needle.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's where you deserve to be. And this health scare, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when you and I met, I was pushing 500 pounds, right? And I wasn't healthy. Just wasn't feeling right. And got engaged to a gal named Annette. She, for some reason, wanted to get married to me, and I was kind of a mess, And I ended up getting a bariatric sleeve and losing a mass amount of weight. Right. So far, I'm about 210 pounds.
Incredible.
Down from.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Dude, check this out. Look at that. I got that. I got to get the skin removed here. It's a goal here in a few months.
Incredible results, and just, you've disciplined your way through this, and it takes an entire lifestyle change.
It is. You see the pictures. I post some fun food, but I'll take like a bite and I'm stuffed. But it requires a gym. I'm at the gym all the time. Watch what I eat. Get the right amount of sleep. Dude, it's a lifestyle change. It's not just I
had an operation.
Yeah.
It's not just an operation.
No, it's hard. It's hard.
It's very hard.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
But I love it.
So you're down to 210.
210.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. From a high of 461.
Wow.
It's changing, dude. I went from a size 66-inch waist to a 38.
They make clothes that big?
Dude, yes. You know what?
Where do you buy them from? And
I'm gonna
genuinely curious.
I'll plug a couple places because let me tell you, the being fat sucks. Being a fat person in our industry, where it's full of beautiful people, you understand, is hard. So I had to look good, and it was expensive. But I would go to XL.
It's also about your long-term health.
That's right.
And you have this penchant already for living sustainably. I mean, look at you right now. You're chasing your dream,
right?
And we're sitting inside of your motorhome.
Yeah.
That's fully off-grid.
Fully off-grid.
We got some AC units running.
Twins.
Yep. Yeah. We got a charger in the back charging up your Jeep.
That's right. My Jeep is being charged from
Right
solar
now.
as we speak right now.
And it's a hybrid Jeep.
It's a hybrid Jeep.
Charges off of what, first 25, 30 miles?
26.
26?
And then with the Regen, I've gotten 32 if you go down a hill.
Incredible.
Yeah.
15 solar panels on the roof.
12.
12.
Yeah.
300 watt, 250.
2,700 total watts of PV.
2,700 total.
Yeah.
So what is that? 150 watt panel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, got a bunch of
I'm
those.
just guessing.
It's about right.
Yeah, 150 or so.
They're Amoresco mods.
Okay. And then how do you actually have those welded into the roof?
So those are they're normal racking and everything that's sealed and it's protected.
I saw it, but do you guys like weld them into the
We drilled them in and then seal them like you would a normal home. There's trusses up on here, so we had to get the diagrams.
So explain the roofing system to me. Like you got, this roof obviously, and then what goes above it, some trusses.
So within this roof, this particular model by Tiffin, they have their own. They've got trusses and they have their own insulation and everything. So we drilled through part of that into to the truss system that was there, and then sealed it up.
Lag bolt with a L foot and put the rail across, and that's it.
Well, and then we sealed it properly.
Sealed it, all right.
And you can see it. This thing has been. I've gotten it 75
no
miles an hour.
No penetration so far. I mean, no leaks.
No leaks. Nothing. We were just at Tiffin.
Okay.
And the thing's perfect.
So you have 2,700 watts of solar. You've coupled it with like 30 kilowatt hours of storage.
Correct. Lithionics LFP cells.
Okay.
UL rated for movement and everything. Top of the line. They've got
I mean, that's a lot of backup power.
Well, I live on it.
Yeah.
It's not
and you live here full time.
That's right.
This is not like a weekend getaway.
No. This is, average homes, an average house, I think installs with 16 to 24 kilowatt hours of batteries, right? There's no difference. As my house, I have 30 kilowatt hours. And that tells you something. If my RV has 30 kilowatt hours of batteries, and you see a lot of guys installing a single power wall or a single sewn-in or a single end charge, whatever you want to call it, or even a single Duracell system, and they're telling people, hey,
can back up your whole home, run both your HVAC units.
Lies, bro.
Yeah.
The lies, man.
Yeah.
And
what size inverters? I'm just curious. They're 5,500 watt inverter, dual.
I have twin Victron 5000 Quattro, so I have 10,000 watts of inverter.
And that can kick in along with the batteries to give you the power that you need.
That's right.
You have a little monitoring system showing you whose user interface is that?
Victron's.
Okay. I've never seen one before. It's actually pretty impressive, and it looks very similar to most of the major manufacturers' PowerFlow.
Exactly.
UI. So that's great.
Well, you're going to get a lot of work with it because you'll be installing these.
Let's go, man! I can't wait. Let's put them everywhere. Charge point as well.
Yeah, there's a charge point. There's also our goal here in February is to remove. I have an 8,000 watt generator on the nose of this thing. We're going to be removing that generator with our own proprietary box. We're going to add more storage in there. We're going to shift some of the storage that's in the bays forward, but we're trying to top it off to about 60 kilowatt hours of storage in this particular unit, and then remove the generator. We have a wake speed DC to DC bidirectional charger that runs off of an alternator as well, which actually replaces the generator, right? So now you have the main diesel. If I need to fire that up to charge the batteries, I can do that. Without having to.
So there's a generator currently on the bus as well?
Correct.
On the motorhome?
Right now, but we're removing it.
And it's, what is it, 6 kW you said?
8,000 watt.
8 kW.
Nonan diesel.
Standby, portable generator?
No, it's on the nose. It's not portable.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll start it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, this show is being powered off of this GenarArc.
Oh, yeah, this GenarArc unit right now. Yeah.
So the GenarArc is a portable battery-powered charging setup, really a battery-powered generator.
That's right. I can charge this from the solar from the bus, or it has its own individual modules. And the modules, the cells are made by Maxeon. Dude, I mean, this isn't junk. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. That's very...
Primo.
It is premium, and there's 4 110 outlets. Is there a 30 amp plug on this thing? Or
not on this one.
Okay.
We have an HP2 Pro coming out that's a little bit more for the RV space.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
For this particular.
But this is like a great camping
this
battery.
one's great.
Like run a show booth off of we actually recently ran a show booth off of one of these.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to pay the $900 or whatever you have to pay the show for. You know, 2-3 shows later, it's paid for.
It's paid for itself. And then, you know what? We're seeing a lot of outdoor
Mm-hmm.
events right now. A lot of these guys are running small generators in California. You can't
Food
run those.
trucks.
That's right. This
I mean,
replaces
it's
it.
just silly. You know, you're out there trying to enjoy a nice taco from a food truck, but
You hear the generator in the background.
you know, nonstop and gas everywhere.
That's right.
And it's stinky. I
It-
don't
well-
want that with my food.
Well, talk about
Yeah.
the generator. The generator requires maintenance.
Right.
A lot of the generators that I talk to with homeowners that actually use them in backup, it fails because they have failed to run it. You know what I mean? And the maintenance alone on a generator, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So the goal is, let's get rid of these
As fast as possible.
as fast as possible.
I have a lot of people, and I'm sure this question's come up a billion times in the stretch that you've been in energy storage sales. Why should I get a battery when I can get a generator and it's half the price? And I'll let you answer first. You know,
I mean, the simplest thing that I can tell you is let's take my house, for example. The house that we're in right now, I have solar, I have batteries, I have an EV plugged into it, and I have a generator, right? When I am outside with my wife and Moira, the cat, you know, she's got a leash, and we're outside enjoying the night, we're running completely silent. We can hear birds, we can enjoy life, but 100, 200 yards down, you know, Bob down there, he doesn't have all this, so he cranks up the generator. Just the sound pollution alone is terrible. And then you have to think about the exhaust. Generators they're not clean burning like, even a diesel or a vehicle. So having a generator is literally not only noise pollution, but it's also polluting more in the atmosphere. You know, the maintenance alone, the startups for them, it's ridiculous. I mean, look at the proliferation of electric lawnmowers and devices now. You know, this is the generator.
there's no comparison.
There's no comparison.
Yeah, I tell people typically along those lines, really the only major advantage that a generator has over a battery is that it's designed to be able to carry heavier loads for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And outside of really that advantage and its lower upfront cost, there's really no other advantages.
Well,
And I wouldn't even categorize those as an advantage, because if I'm thinking about power rationing and what I need to do in the event of a critical moment where there's a power outage, I'm not necessarily thinking I need to power every last thing that I own. I'm thinking, how can I be the best civilian that I can be?
Well, let's talk about Puerto Rico really quick. So when Maria hit, we had teams down there doing installs quite a bit. We actually out-installed Tesla and every other manufacturer in Puerto Rico for over a year, right? But while we were out there crushing it, we had a lot of customers that had generators. After Maria hit, the cost of fuel increased dramatically. And we had a lot of customers that were saying, hey, we can't afford to run the generator. We can't get fuel. So generators are cool. But let's look at our current political climate that we're in.
It makes
Fuel.
us so dependent still on
Correct.
the geopolitical climate and the volatility of it.
That's right. So you might have a generator, you might run more loads, but for how long?
Right.
Will you be, what happens if you've got this great generator, a gorgeous house, and everything's hunky-dory, and you run out of fuel? You're not maintaining that thing. So do I believe that every home needs a generator? No. Do I like generators? I think they serve a purpose, but for the average home, no. You can run it all off of batteries now. You can. You can. And now let's, in the future, 5 years from now, with look at vehicles, vehicle to grid, vehicle to home. You know what? Do you need a generator if you've got a Rivian plugged in, right? Or a Ford F-150 Lightning that can do 80 amps plugged right into the house, right? Do you need that generator?
Maybe not.
There you go.
Maybe not is what.
Well,
I'm
let's look
counting
at
on.
Generac, right? One of the biggest brands in generators, and they got into renewables. Come on, it's only a matter of time. They're smart.
They are smart, and they know that that's long term where the money is.
That's right.
And I think it's important for homeowners out there and property owners in general that start looking into battery backup and start looking into solar and off-grid living and tiny home living and so on, they really do their homework around what the needs actually are.
That's right.
And build budgets around that, because this stuff's not cheap either.
It isn't cheap.
Do you mind sharing? And you can say no.
No,
Yeah.
I don't mind sharing. I think it's important for people to understand.
Okay, great.
Right?
So let's dive into those numbers just a little bit. You know, motorhome, you can go online, see what a motorhome costs.
That's right.
This is a 20-footer, 26-footer.
40-footer.
40-footer. Okay, I was way off. So, yeah, good thing I'm not an estimator. All right, I'm on a podcast right now. So it's a 40-footer.
It's a it's a Tiffin 40-foot.
Tiffin 40.
It's called an Allegro Red.
Allegro Red.
Yeah, yeah. It's
man, that just sounds sexy.
Sexy. But here's the thing. So we got this thing, right? And they're like, yeah, it's an Allegro Red. It's really cool. And I thought, yeah, this is great. And then I go and I find that there's some of these things, like Prevo makes these that are like almost $3 million.
Wow, I can't believe
this
I
thing.
can't believe it. You got a 40-footer here,
Yeah.
and on it, tell us the cost to make it off-grid. So just that adder.
So if you're looking at retail costs, like MSRP for this system, which it has a lot that your average trailer doesn't need. I mean, let's be serious. This is a showpiece. It's
So give me
beta.
like two data points. One on like you just maxing this place out.
So this one maxed out MSRP is $95,000 for this install, right? Because it has a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Your average trailer is probably going to of a home, an RV home like this, to be able to be 100% off grid. Anywhere from, depending on the size and loads, could be anywhere from $12,000 to about $45,000. So it just really depends
on how far you want to go with it.
That's right.
Effectively.
That's right. Yeah. Now
but
this
you
thing's a
want it
monster.
to be fully off grid all the time.
Correct.
You don't ever want to plug into anyone's 30 amp,
or 50 amp.
Or 50.
Well, you don't
amp,
know what their connections are, right? This is my house, and I'm plugging into an RV park, right? Who's plugged in before? Sometimes I look at the plugs; they look burnt out. I've got surge protectors. Those things, I burnt out 2 already plugging in. It's safer for me to be able to be autonomous. So I call myself a sun chaser.
Safer, cleaner,
correct,
more affordable, long term,
healthier,
because
we're not running that generator, right? Yeah, there's no
quieter, more peaceful,
peace,
which is really what you're seeking, long term. And anyone looking to have this sort of lifestyle,
that's right.
Like, why would you buy a generator,
ruin
you're ruin your entire experience?
That's right. That's right. And since I've gotten out, I've met hundreds of people, and initially they go, "Oh man, that seems excessive," but you know what they say afterwards? Can we talk? You know why? Because it starts to make logical sense. It does. You just have to think it out. Don't let the numbers scare you.
No, and I mean, really, if you want to look at the numbers, well, look at what the cost of a home is, with the cost of an electric bill, with the cost of property taxes, with the cost of AT&T, and with the cost of
exactly.
it's like never ending, cost, and it becomes very difficult to manage, and that's why I think a lot of Americans in general feel overwhelmed and sometimes feel economic slaves, for a lack of a better word to say it. It's just, you're just working for the next paycheck, working to pay off that next credit card.
That's right.
And a lot of that is because the lifestyle choices and the lifestyle design that has become a status quo. But if you're not living in a $500,000 home and not paying $10,000 in property taxes and not paying all these other subscription costs and whatever else you have, maybe you spend $200,000 on a motorhome like this.
Right.
Spend $100,000 on making it off grid, and then never have a bill again.
That's right. I was chatting with a couple of people in groups, and they're like, "Oh man, we're getting ready to get out on the RV, but cost of fuel, is going to prevent our lifestyle." And I'm like, yeah, that kind of stinks. I have made the initial investment. But I don't have to worry about it as much,
And you're gonna eventually get an electric powertrain on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So OGI, from Enphase, decided to start my own company. It's called OGI, Off-Grid Innovations. And that's really what it is. It's e-mobility is what we call it. But what we are doing is bringing electrification to the RV space. That's one of the ways we're generating revenue. Second is we are creating partnerships with large RV dealers and converters, these people that actually manufacture these buses. We're helping them right now remove the large generators and do all electric. We're currently working with several customers. We have a pipeline of close to 200 buses that we're doing. Average cost is around $45,000. So, it's not as mine, but dude, we've done this. This is what I want to do. It's exciting.
This is exciting.
And
you
know what? We're helping.
Waiting for.
We're helping these guys also get into resi, commercial, and all that. I mean, we're turning these fabricators, these amazing. It's a new channel. So think about residential solar right now. Right? Residential solar is less than 3% of the entire market, and you've got people in groups killing themselves over leads. Remember that one guy? Dude, it's crazy. There's a lot of drama in this in the residential. It's a hard market. People are continuing to drive costs down. Continuing to drive costs down is good for the consumer, but certain shops can't keep up with maintenance. A lot of the manufacturers, their equipment is garbage. So now it's not a good. There's a lot of improvements that can be made into that channel.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
I'm happy that I work with guys like you, Casey, Felipe in California. Dude, guy crushes. There's some really good shops, but for the most part, there's clowns, man.
Yeah,
so many clowns.
And it's unfortunate. There's a running joke in the solar industry. What's the difference between a used car salesman and a solar salesman? And it's that the used car salesman knows he's lying to you. But in solar, you have people running around, jumping in from historically very door knocking centric industries, lawn, pest control,
mortgage, high pressure sales,
and so they're out there pitching people in 10 minutes on a software, not looking at their net metering, not looking at any shading losses, not looking at any factors that will affect that customer's experience long term. Right. And then they're passing it on 2-3 times to different companies that, everyone's pointing the finger at the next when things don't go right.
That's right.
And that puts really an onus and responsibility on guys like us to make sure that we're out there educating people, creating these pieces of literature and awareness and content that really drives education and make sure people are, they know what they can fit on a roof. They know how much storage they need, and not go back. I can't back up your whole home on one battery like you were saying earlier.
Dude, I remember an ad from a company in Utah. I remember this ad several years ago from a company called Solaroo in Utah, right? And Solaroo came out and said, "Yeah, we're gonna back up your house with a single LG cam and whatever." It was at 15 amps, man. What do you? Dude,
can't do anything with that.
Can't do anything with that. But a lot of people.
So OGI is taking this mobility movement and really running with it. And,
absolutely.
And mobility is one of these phrases that it's one of those hot phrases right now. Mobility, like it can mean this electric mobility. How are we going to design spaces, for future mobility, and what is that going to look like, right? A society where you have high rail next to electric autonomous buses, next to electric autonomous vehicles, next to electric bikes, and so
autonomous
on. Autonomous
RVs soon.
Right, and drones flying around, dropping. So the future of mobility is very exciting.
It is.
Very exciting. And I think more and more people are defecting to this lifestyle of, let me just get in a motorhome and make it off-grid and cut my expenses in half and pay itself off in 1 or 2 years, right? Relative to the cost I was paying. Matt Farrell actually recently made a very interesting YouTube video about this, about the kind of the economics of tiny home living, which I think is super interesting for anybody that's really wanting to get into this lifestyle.
Oh.
Then they need to talk to OGI, obviously.
Or you. I mean,
yeah. Or Good Faith Energy, which I'll send you to OGI.
yeah.
But tell me, what are you most excited about for mobility, the future of mobility, what you're seeing in terms of any cultural shifts? Or
I'm seeing I'm seeing people being pushed out of cities, as regentrification is happening in a lot of these metro areas. You're seeing a lot of the population from there start to leave these metro areas and get into rural living. But these people are just pushing out the people that are living in rural America, right? You're seeing a lot of that in California, where even home prices are getting super expensive, right? So now you're starting to see a migration of people, middle-income people that are just being not forced, but for them effectively being forced out of of their traditional homes. And on the road, I am meeting hundreds of nomad families that are out there saying, you know what, we can make it here. We'd rather do this. And also, I run into a lot of millennials and Zoomers. Is that what they're called?
Such as myself.
Yeah, such as yourself. And then the other younger generations, they can't afford a house.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, who can afford a house now, right? Base prices on homes is ridiculous, right?
$500,000 effectively.
$500,000-$600,000 that seems to be the norm, and people can't afford it. But you know what they can afford? A tiny home. You know what they can afford? An RV, a fifth wheel. And I'm seeing my wife, myself, the cat. We're seeing hundreds of families taking to the road. I think I'm at 48. Everybody would think that, this is the retired, but no, it isn't. This is starting to become the norm in the parks, as I'm seeing younger families, kids living in these communities. There's an entire caravans of people that have even asked us, hey, come with us. Families that are droning around. They have teachers.
Because they like you, or they want your power?
Well, I think they want the power and the cat. But you know what? It's crazy. What I have found out there, and tiny home living is where it's going. Let's look at Elon. There goes that cat.
Hi, Moira.
But Elon's in a tiny home. I know he's got big houses, but think about that. How much space do you need? If you are really trying to live a sustainable life, how much do you need? When Gandhi died, he had a couple articles of clothing, his glasses, and that was about it, right? I have everything that I own, with the exception of some art, my wife's favorite retro Christmas tree, and a lot of guns and ammo, and not in storage, and everything else I own is here, and I think it's still too much. You know what I mean? Like, if we are living a life that is renewable, that is healthy, and we're
very
trying
sustainable. It's this minimalistic lifestyle that I think we all seek. Like my wife and I, we started talking about zero waste lifestyle.
Yes.
We're like, man, that's so hard. Like everything comes in packaging, everything comes in. But once you start making more conscious efforts to just be more minimalistic, buy less things with plastic.
That's right.
Take your tote bags into the grocery store with you. Recycle your cardboard boxes.
Your clothing.
Grow your own food if you can. Source your own water or clean up water. Have
secondhand clothing. You know what I mean?
Secondhand clothing. There's so many things. Even you'll think this is funny, but one of my podcast guests was a guy named Bruno. I'm sorry, and he's 8,000 kicks. He makes hemp shoes,
dude,
that are totally sustainable.
Yeah.
Ships them out in like corn, starch cardboard boxes. The soles are made with ocean's algae. It's incredible. I just ordered 2 pairs. They came in today, so I'm gonna go put those on when I get home. But anyways, the point is, it's a fully sustainable lifestyle, and a lot of it comes down to how much space do you have.
That's right.
If you have a lot of space, you almost feel obligated to fill it up with something, some junk,
That's right.
right, that you never use, never need.
That's right.
Why? Cut it out and be as simple as possible. That's part of thinking green.
That's right.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, listen, Andrew, you and I, we're going to be able to go on for forever.
Oh, dude, we could talk
I look
for
forward
days.
to bringing you on to the show again.
Okay.
I think if there's anything, let's leave our listeners with a couple of last thoughts about the industry is headed towards this kind of tiny home shift, off-grid living shift. What are you most excited about? Generarc, Duracell, you got all of these brands lined up. I know it's a tough question because, it might just be the new lifestyle.
I think, what really, really, really excites me the most?
What's that?
Is that we are, not just me, but I think people are consciously starting to vote with their dollars.
Mm-hmm.
They're being smarter with it. They're starting to invest in themselves. I see people starting to invest in memories as opposed to things.
Mm-hmm.
And what excites me the most, I think, would be OGI. We are capitalizing on that. And we're connecting with consumers with a lifestyle, because that's what we really want to offer is change. Get out there, dude. Life is fleeting, you know what I mean. And
Clock is ticking.
Clock is ticking. What do you want to do? If only one day, dude. COVID took 7 friends of mine. People that I know, that I've interacted with, sat down and ate. Life, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit. Go forward.
OGI, Off-Grid Innovations. Check out Andrew Claudio, where he's very outspoken online. You can check him out on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I don't know where else you can
Dude,
be
if you
found,
find
but
me on Twitter, I want to apologize. I'm pretty
Don't
bad
find
on
him on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Don't find me on Twitter.
Public
But
service announcement.
But my Instagram, it's Moira and me with a bunch of underscores. It's Moira _and_ whatever. Moira and me. It's me, the cat, the RV man.
Hey, the cat joined us on today's podcast. I think we can all agree on that.
She's gorgeous.
Moira loves to be the center of attention. I think she was a little bit jealous, but she made it onto the show. Thank you, Moira, for joining us. Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, Andrew, for making it out here. Thanks for bringing this beautiful motorhome out here, off-grid, thinking green. Check out Off-Grid Innovations and the awesome stuff they're doing online. We'll check you guys out on the next episode.
Hey, and any of the listeners, I got to tell you guys something. I've known this guy for a long time. He's never lied to me, and a lot of people have lied to me. So
I'm not a liar, folks.
Just I would, if I was here, I would do my installs with him.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
Dude, I love
Andreas.
you, man. Emilio Andres.
Emilio Andres. Mucho gusto,
That's what we should ask the listeners. Should I change my name back to Emilio
Yes,
Andres?
everyone vote yes in the comments below. Thank you guys again for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you hit the 5-star, leave us a review, let us know what you'd like to hear next, and give us a huge thumbs up and a big like. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Thinking Green.
Thank you for listening to Thinking Green with Muhammad Abdallah. This episode was brought to you by Good Faith Energy. For more information, check out goodfaitenergy.com. Make sure you subscribe, give us a review, and leave a 5-star rating. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. See you on the next episode of Thinking Green.